All right, week 7 has finished. A lot of close games to unpack this week. Some games that kind of shook up the standings a little bit. A lot of interesting things to talk about this week. A lot of chaos that ensued, and a lot of chaos to come with these next 2 weeks. One more in the regular season, then we got the playoffs right behind the corner. So we'll get right into the chaos. Brought to you by, of course, you guys already know, the 110 Grill. Shout out to the 110 Grill, our sponsor. I'm joined this week by Jake, DJ, Jack, some familiar faces here on the pod. I'm your host, Cade. We'll hop right into it. We'll get right into Reapers versus A1. And maybe a game nobody saw coming, or at least an outcome to a game we didn't see coming. Reapers took this one 83-71, not A1. Yeah, personally, I'm not too excited to talk about this one, but I'll leave the talking to you guys. I mean, A1's first ever loss in Legacy Leagues, and it comes to Reapers, who were handed their first regular season loss last season by the A1. So, kind of a little full circle moment. Isaac Lane kind of led the Reapers the whole night, 36 points. Nobody was really stopping him on A1. It was kind of something we talked about after. We just let him do what he wanted to do. For A1, I mean, Darwin had himself a night. He had 39 points, shooting lights out. Hendel, a bit of a quiet night, still dropped 17. Wasn't the best shooting night. Maybe that was a difference here this week. Personally, I think we were missing some guys, and we're relying on some guys that haven't really been there that much. So we kind of let each other down. We didn't show up when we needed to, so we were missing some of our bigger guys that I think definitely would have changed the outcome, that were there when we played the Reapers a few weeks ago, that we won by 20 points. So definitely a bit of a different night for A1. We're not used to seeing them fall to a team that, I mean, let alone a team that doesn't even have a winning record. But this Reapers is definitely a different team than the start of the season. They've turned things around, gotten their roster here for a few games. So, Jake, I'll go right to you. Talk about what the Reapers did to take this win.
Yeah, so I wasn't on the court for this game, but I was on the court for when you guys played earlier, and I'm pretty surprised by the score to be honest, because like it looked like you guys were dominating the first time around, but this one I think Isaac Lane was definitely the difference. I mean, 36 points. Every time I looked over, it looked like he was making a play. So I think that was definitely a big part of it, and I think that's huge to get this happening right before the playoffs too, so that can kind of help with momentum.
Yeah, Isaac Lane, excuse me, wasn't there the first time around we played them. So maybe we were just going into this game expecting the same team, and we kind of came out of it, maybe thinking like, man, we should have focused a little more on Isaac. We kind of let him control the offense. Not a lot of contested shots in the paint. Weren't really aggressive enough. It didn't really feel like we were playing the A1 basketball that everyone has kind of come to know, like hustling down on offense. We were making a lot of sloppy plays. Short a few guys, but again, I still think we should have won. Whether we had four guys or our whole team, I still think we're confident enough that we could win. Um, yeah, but a little full circle there. Uh, Reapers handing A1 their first ever regular season loss, kind of a little payback. Reapers did shoot 60% from the field, 53 from 3 point. That's not, over 50% from three is not something I would say that is easily maintainable. So maybe they got to look into another form of scoring, whether that's attacking the rim more with Isaac or Yala. Yala had a bit of a quieter night. Yeah, but shooting 53%, if they can contain that and continue to do that, then props on them. Get your wins by doing that. If not, I think you gotta kind of look at some different options there on offense. DJ, I'll go to you quickly before we wrap up this one. How does A1 bounce back? We'll talk about the matchup they have next week later, but kind of how do you bounce back from a week like this, or is there really much of a bounce back needed?
I'd say A1's fine. Hendel just had an off night. It's gonna happen. It happens to everyone. He didn't even play terribly. Still got 17 points just for his standards an off night. Missing a couple big guys too. So I think that's the real difference in this game. So I think going forward, A1 should be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree there. I think we'll be fine too, and I'm very excited. I think matchup of the season next week, so we'll talk about it later, but definitely excited for that. Looking for a comeback week that week. So we'll go right into our next one. That game being Run It Up versus the Squad. Now, a very close game. Maybe some of us didn't expect it. The Squad honestly have been making close games with everyone. I think they are the closest team to coming to beating ASAP. I think they came within 9 or 8 of ASAP week 1. So I know they didn't have Noah, but obviously is a difference maker. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about this one. And Run It Up took it 52-49, a very low scoring game for both teams. Tack Gomes led the way for Run It Up, uh, 21 points. Sean Yard led the second most points, 16. Combined, they shot 2 for 15 from 3. Just not what you want to see when you're playing a team like the Squad that I think is a much bigger team. So being able to outshoot them is how you beat them, and they couldn't outshoot them, and that's what led to it being such a close game, I think. Marquise Smith, 17 points for the Squad. The rest of the team kind of did what they had to do to keep this game close. They all scored a reasonable amount, but Marquise led the way for them. For Run It Up, no Marcus again. But I don't even think that should be an issue. I really think Tack Gomes and Sean Yard should be enough. Even Casey Keys, a two-time All-Star, he's had a quiet season, but when his team needs him, he can step up. So it was kind of shocking to see this game be that close. Jack, I'll go to you. You didn't really talk on the last game, so we'll go first to you. Um, what was the difference maker here? What led to a run-up victory? I know the Squad was just tailing the whole game, and we're right there. But what gave run up this win?
So, like you said, Tack Gomes and Sean Yard, the two leaders right now for Run It Up. Obviously, they're 5-2. They're having a great year. But the Squad was pesky all night, as they've kind of been all season. Like you said, only one win, but making all these games close. Last week, they killed FTG. But Run It Up just stayed the course and was able to pull it out late. They didn't shoot great from 3, didn't shoot great from the field, but their defense came up big when it mattered most.
No, yeah, Tack Gomes I think is leading the league in steals. Sean Yard's up there in steals too. So when they don't have Marcus, who's a very good paint defender, they look to Sean and Tack to kind of stop the other team's offense a different kind of way, which blocks, are good, but steals usually lead to a quicker offensive possession, which is very good for running up. Um, I think Tack Gomes just flipped a switch in this fourth quarter because he was kind of, mellow the whole game. And then this fourth quarter, we'll see in the top plays, he had like 2 of his like posters in the last 2 minutes. Like he really flipped a switch there in the fourth quarter, and I think he got run up this win. Um, we'll be talking about most valuable player this week, honestly, with award seasons coming, or the award season coming to an end before playoffs. And Tack Gomes is definitely a guy to look at. I mean, he got them this win, I think, in that fourth quarter. He had a nasty putback dunk off a missed free throw to put his team up 3. So little plays like that are gonna win you games, and Tack Gomes did that for them. DJ, I know you were harsh on the Squad a couple weeks ago, but what do you got to say to them making this game such a close game?
Yeah, they've been doing good recently. Ever since I said they were in Cancun, they've been crawling back. So putting up good scores against these good teams the last couple of weeks has been really good for them. But very underrated stat here is free throws. Tack Gomes went 10 for 10 on free throws, and uh, the Squad missed a few of them. So 3-point game, you hit more free throws, then we could have a different story here at the end of the day.
Yeah, any form of basketball, free throws are important, especially in a close game like this. I mean, you see games that are like 10-point differences when the other team had 12 free throws. So that's the difference in that game, let alone a 3-point game. Free throws, make or break your team. You got to hit them. They got free in the name. You got to be making those free throws. It's harder than it looks. It's hard when you switch that 8.5 foot and you're so close to the rim. It kind of throws you off, but we're coming to the end of the season. Let's get used to it, you know? Let's start sinking those free throws. Gonna change up the outcome of these games, especially when the playoffs you gotta lock in. So yeah, shout out to the squad. I mean, they've only won one game. It was a very definitive win too, and they've made a lot of these games closer. And they were the closest to beating ASAP than any team has came so far. So uh, I don't think we should count them out of an upset potentially in the playoffs. Or we'll look into next week's matchup, which I think is a great matchup. I think all the games next week are really good. Um, we'll look more into that later. So we'll go into our third game, that game being FTG Top Dogs. This game, another 3-point game. One I didn't see coming. I don't think any of us saw coming. Because FTG won against Top Dogs by 30, 32 last time they matched up, and it was basically the same rosters. So I was kind of surprised to see it this close. Ethan Austin, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, doing everything he could to get his team this win. He actually had a roster this week. Which is nice. Denzel Lyles, 25 points. I think he had 3 blocks, so he showed up after missing a couple weeks, definitely making his presence known. Lower scoring from some of those guys we expect to see at the top of the scoring board for FTG, but they did enough to get this win. And Top Dogs, Jared Hansen, always leading the way for them, it seems. 36 points, 13 rebounds. Smallest guy on the court getting 13 rebounds. It's crazy. Yeah, honestly, FTG have a good chance of, maybe pulling an upset in this next week too. I keep saying every matchup next week is going to be interesting, but it's true. FTG with a full roster is a team we should not bet against. Honestly, I think they could a good night from Ethan Austin and a good supporting cast could beat any team, I think. I know we were talking about award seasons. Ethan was crept up in this MVP ladder very quickly. He hasn't really had a slow game this season, so definitely a name to be talking about. Yeah, Jake, I'll go to you. I think this game was too close. I think FTG had their whole roster. They won by 32. Is this an FTG fluke, or is this Top Dogs finally getting their chemistry, coming together? They still, Cody, it doesn't seem like he's coming back. I don't think he has enough games played to be in the playoffs, so they're going to be Cody-less for the rest of the season, but they didn't have him, and they made a fight against a team that beat them by 30, which you could come into this game thinking like, oh, we're going to get smoked again, but that's not what they did. So talk about the difference between these two games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would give a lot of credit to the top dogs. I think they play this style of basketball where they take lengthy offensive possessions and they kind of tire out the defense. Inevitably, that's going to get annoying. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Jared Hansen. I mean, 36 points. He was making it all happen out there. But I also, if I'm FTG, I wouldn't really freak out over this. I think they still played pretty well. And, usually you're going to see more from Shane Perico. He went 1 from 9 from 3, and he's usually a lot better than that. Not to hate on him or anything, but I think they're going to be all right. I think, like you said, Ethan Austin, he's one of those guys who just does it all, loves basketball. So he takes the pleasure in grabbing a rebound when some guys might just brush it off. So, yeah.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, so we're talking chemistry. FTG hasn't really played as a full team too many times. I think this is like their third game, and that's kind of a disadvantage when you got to get going against a team like Top Dogs, where usually all their guys are there. Whether that, they only got one guy on the bench. It's a smaller team. They had some injuries, and early in the season they've lost some guys. Cody's only been there once. So chemistry is a real thing. Like, it's an underrated thing too. You want to be boys with your guys out there, and you all want the same goal, which is win. DJ, talk about chemistry. How have you seen Top Dogs grow from uh, a semi-free agent team who didn't know each other to a team that's competing and fighting against these teams that beat them so badly earlier in the season? Talk about that.
Yeah, just
beginning of the season, they just looked like a bunch of guys who didn't really know, have a lot of like not very smooth in their gameplay. But as the weeks have gone on, they just started to click with a system going on. A lot of shooting going on. These guys are just like starting to figure it out a little bit too late. But next season, if they stay together, they could be a problem.
And if they get, I would say they need like two bigger guys, and if Cody's able to come around and work with them, that team could be a deadly team, honestly. They don't need all these superstars to win these games. You just need a bunch of guys, good chemistry, want to win, and like Top Dog does it, a bunch of shooters. And I think they can sneak away with a win on any given night. You know, maybe not against an A1 or an ASAP in the first round, but depending on how next week goes, we'll see. It's a bit of a mess there in the bottom half of the bracket, so we don't know who's going to be where for the playoffs yet. But we could see a upset, honestly, like a a sorry, Top Dogs, you know, run it up. Like if run it up doesn't have Marcus, that's an evenly heighted team, and I could see them. You know, they had a close game last week with them. If they score a few more points, a few more threes, you know, it's a very different game than it was a week ago. So Top Dogs, I don't think we should count them out. I don't think we should count anybody out so far this season. I think everyone's had a close game with a good team. So everyone's in this. Everyone's got talent. Everyone's locked in, it seems, in these last couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll wrap that game up. We'll move on to our last one. Our biggest difference of the week, still not a big difference, 15 points. That's Team ASAP versus B2A. And ASAP took this one by 15. Their first matchup against B2A was also by 15, so kind of funny thing to look at there. ASAP 100 to B2A's 85. Noah, I mean, what more can be said about Noah? 40 points, dude. No one could stop him out there. Easily the difference maker. Without Noah, do they win? I don't know. Joe Secator's that guy in Rhode Island. He has been for a while. I think he could have led that team maybe, but Noah's their guy here in Massachusetts, and geez, he's just on fire this season. Karan Bosick, 24 points. Joe Secator, 23. Good additions to Noah's 40. B2A, Monday Weaver, 32 points. Shy Hicks, I wanted to give him a huge shout out. 6 rebounds. That's a new career high for him here in Legacy Leagues, because I called him out last week for maybe not being aggressive in the paint, but he let me know he had 5 rebounds when he did in the game, so he finished with 6. Career high. Shout out Shy. I know he watches. I love that. Still want to see you get a block next week, though. Just one. I just want to see you just swat somebody. Come on, I want to see it. It'll be hype. I'll be watching. All right, B2A. They've got scored on a lot these last few weeks, and it's down to their defense. Not hustling back maybe, but losing Daraj earlier in the season. I don't know if they've been fully able to bounce back from that loss. It's a defensive player of the year, and when you're playing 4-on-4, you know, he could pick up 2 guys in the paint if he needed to. So it's a huge loss. B2A's just struggled. If they want to win, it's either they got to be knocking down threes more. You know, Shy Hicks has to be on his A game along with Amandi. Amandi crashes the rim. Shy Hicks shooting lights out. That's kind of how it has to go. You know, a 15-point game is not crazy when ASAP's defense is maybe lacking for them. But I don't think ASAP was going to let this game up with their defense. I think their defense is good enough to lock in if they needed to, if this game got closer. So, Jack, I'll go to you. You know, ASAP's still undefeated, only undefeated team with A1 losing this week. Talk about this team without Noah. Noah's got talked about enough. We've talked about him all day or all season. Talk about ASAP's kind of supporting cast, if that's I mean, they're all kind of the main cast. I mean, some of these guys are champions, MVPs. So talk about ASAP in what kind of they're going to see from their bench in a playoff game that maybe Noah's not scoring 40 in. So talk about that kind of supporting cast.
So aside from Noah, Joe Secator, obviously, Karan, really good, 2 really good performances the other night that kind of got brushed aside. You know, Noah had 40, but Karan and Joe, they had 24 and 23. Karan shot 7 of 15 from 3, which was a huge part of that game. allowed the spacing for Noah to kind of do his thing. And I think this team's just looking unbeatable right now. Obviously, A1 hasn't played them yet. That's going to be one of the biggest matchups. Probably the biggest matchup of the regular season, and I'm excited for that. But right now, ASAP looks like they can't be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, they're moving into uncharted territories next week. You know, we've got a game plan, so they'll see what we've got right away. I think it's going to be super interesting. I think that I'm so excited for that game. I'm probably not even going to play in it, but I'm so excited. I get front row seats. We all do technically. So I'm excited for that game. Um, yeah, I mean, not too much to analyze from this game. It was kind of an ASAP running away most of this game. Yeah, Noah James MVP. We'll see. We'll see when the voting concludes, but he's, I think, leading the way. So we'll see how next week wraps up. Huge matchup between him and Hendel, kind of two front runners for that award. We'll see. It's going to be an exciting week next week. We'll talk about it actually. I think we'll wrap up this game. We'll get right into the next week games, and yeah, we'll go right into our final kind of section here. We usually call it the 110 question of the week. I don't really got a question, We're going to talk about this spicy week we got here, kind of like the firecracker shrimp here at 110 Grill, our sponsor. Always shout them out. We've got a lot of good matchups, just like you got matchups on the menu. You got the turkey burgers versus the classic burgers. You got the 110 signature burgers versus a plain burger. A lot of crazy matchups, just like this next week in the playoffs coming up. So, first game we'll talk about the game a little, and then we'll pick our winners. So we got Squad versus Reapers. Reapers came out. They've lost 4 in a row, but now they've got a win here against the number 1 ranked team in the power rankings. That was at that time. So yeah, I think Squad stands a chance though. I'm not counting them out. They're a bigger team. A1 lost, I think, because they didn't have their bigger guys. Squad, if their guys show up, they're all big enough to kind of make an impact in the paint. And if the Reapers aren't shooting lights out like they did this week, it's gonna be a close one. And the Squad is, as we said, make every game close so far. Jack, I'll go back to you. Reapers Squad, who do you think is gonna win and why? Give me a reason.
I think the Reapers win, but it could definitely go either way. It's going to be close. Obviously, the Reapers kind of a wild card every week. It feels like, are they going to give it their all? Is Y'all going to show up? But I mean, the Squad's 1-6, even though they've made every game close. The Reapers are just by far the better team on paper. We'll see if they show up, and yeah, that's how I feel about it.
To be said though, Squad does have 2 former Reapers in Jay Sean and Keandre, so it's gonna be cool to see them kind of facing against. I think Kevin, Q, are a few former ones that are still on the team. There's other guys, but 2 to come to mind. Yeah, so Reapers versus Squads. I mean, Jake, talk about it a little. I'll say my part after.
Yeah, so I've actually seen the Squad play in back-to-back weeks, and I think it would be very possible for the Reapers to come in and kind of overestimate how good they've gotten throughout the year, because the Squad do not look like a 1-6 team to me. I agree with you. That's a team that you do not want in the first round. I think they're gonna shock some people, but my opinion, if Isaac Lane's there, I got to take the Reapers in that one.
Oh yeah, Isaac's been on fire. He's looked unstoppable these last few weeks. Um, you know, y when A1 loses to the Reapers and it's kind of Isaac Lane's doing, if he shows up, then the squad's gonna have to do something to contain him. And I don't really know matchup wise who's gonna pick him up. Maybe Jay Sean. Jay Sean's underrated defender. I think he's an underrated player. He was an all-star his first season, and I think if he, uses if he's on another team, it could be a very different look for him for the season. DJ, just quickly give us a win if you don't want to go too in depth. Don't worry about it. So
Yeah, it's just like what you guys all said. It ultimately just comes down to if the full Reapers squad shows up, I'd say the Reapers can overpower the squad, so I'll take the Reapers.
I'm gonna make it a fun week. I'm gonna go with the squad. Honestly, I love upsets, except if it's against my team. So, Reapers just beat us, so I'm gonna be petty. I'm gonna pick the squad. My boy Jay Sean on the squad. He's so funny, dude. He's the nicest guy too. I want to see him kind of, I don't know if the Reapers didn't have enough space for them. Maybe they got cut for other guys. I don't want to create any drama, but if there's any kind of unsettled business, I want to see it settled, and I want to see some upsets. So I'm gonna go with the squad. I think they have enough. I think they have enough power. Usually, I think the squad are gonna get taken apart by a team that's mostly guards. They lost to Top Dogs, a very small team. When you got a bigger team, you think they're gonna overpower that. So I think they've shown weaknesses against smaller guys. And I don't think the Reapers really have that, especially if Carlos doesn't show up. He's only shown up 1 week. I don't think he's even eligible for playoffs. I don't know if that's written, so I don't know if that's true 100%. But I think the squad could take this one. We'll go into our next one. A very, very interesting matchup. B2A Top Dogs. B2A struggled defensively. Top Dogs are gonna, look at this as an advantage in their shooting game. Smaller team. B2A's got guys that can attack the rim with Gio Neville and Amandi. So it could go either way. Maybe leaning towards B2A. They've lost a few weeks in a row. I'm sure they want to win. So DJ, you're critical of B2A. Give me a winner. Show some reason though. Let me hear it.
Yeah, B2A's just been on a skid recently, so if Jared Hansen keeps going, keeps playing how he's been playing the past few weeks, I think that the Top Dogs could take it this week.
All right, Jack, give me a reason and a winner.
I'm going to also agree with DJ. I got the Top Dogs. The way B2A has been playing defense these last couple of weeks has just not been cutting it. Jared Hansen's kind of playing at an MVP level these last couple games, especially Monday night. 36, 13 rebounds, I think. So he's on a roll. I don't think B2A is going to be able to stop him. They've just been atrocious defensively since losing Daraj, and I got Top Dogs.
All right, 2 for Top Dogs. Jake, let me hear it.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's pretty simple. I think it's going to be a huge turnaround game for B2A. I think they're kind of hearing the noise. I think they know they've been slipping a little bit, so I think this is going to be like their get back game right before the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if you all picked B2A, I might have said Top Dogs, but they listen to the podcast and they use this as fuel. So I think B2A heard, Jack and DJ giving them a little doubt there. I think they're going to come out. I think Gio Neville's been in the league a few seasons. He's going to know how to take advantage of a smaller team. I think it's just this team's been in the league a couple seasons, so I think they've played together long enough to know how to kind of utilize a matchup when it comes to disadvantages and advantages, and I think they're just going to be able to use this advantage of height a lot better. Then again, it's hard to count out Top Dogs when all they do is just shoot lights out sometimes. So I'm gonna stick to B2A, but I think it's gonna be closer. But I think B2A is actually gonna come out and maybe prove some of us wrong. But 2 good matchups so far, and I think we're going to our next 2 really good matchups. You know which one I'm saving for last. So second to last game, we're going to talk about FTG Run It Up. You know, maybe a couple weeks ago when FTG had 4 guys showing up, we would have been like, nah, Run It Up, blowout. But Denzel and Zach are back, with Shane, Terrence Gallo, Derek Stone, Ethan leading the way. This team looks a lot, Trent too. Can't forget about Trent. It's a much bigger team with those guys there, and I think FTG stands a chance. Run It Up, man. I gave you guys 2 weeks to prove yourselves to me, and you've only beat these 2 1-5 teams by single digits. It's just not enough to convince me that you're gonna beat FTG. I'm looking forward to an FTG kind of comeback. I know Run It Up's had a good season. They're 5-2, but FTG, I think lost to them in the playoffs last season. I could be wrong. It could have been I think it was like the last round or the last game of the season. I don't know. I think Run Up had an upset against FTG last season, and maybe FTG is still thinking about that and wants a bit of a comeback against them. I'm going first if you haven't noticed, but I'm picking FTG. I think Ethan Austin's on fire. They're gonna try to come out and prove themselves. Um, yeah, I think this could be an interesting game though. It could be close. Run-ups just made these last two games a lot closer than they had to be, and even if they get Marcus back, they got guys like Denzel and Derek Stone who can contain a bigger guy. So even if they get Marcus back, I think it's going to be tough to beat FTG. Then again, Tack Gomes is that guy. I think if he plays like he did in that fourth quarter, he could be proving me wrong. But Jake, I'll go back to you. Give me a winner.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be running up. I think, like you just said, Tack Gomes, he's still an MVP candidate for me. And I think he's in that tier of players in this league who can really dictate the outcome of a game. So I think I'm going to have to go with him, especially after seeing what he did in that fourth quarter. So yeah, I'm going to have to take run it up.
If Tack Gomes plays like he did in that fourth quarter the rest of the season, we could be seeing a crazy postseason from him. So keep an eye out on him. Run-up's going to have to step up in other ways, though. It can't just be the Tack Gomes show. Well, maybe it can. Maybe he hasn't shown us everything he's got. But DJ, give me your winner.
Yeah, like Jake said, if Tack Gomes keeps playing the way he's been playing, especially like that fourth quarter, I think Running Up will take it. They've only lost to the top two teams, only lost to A1 by 3 points at that buzzer beater week 2, so I think Running Up will take it.
All right, Jack, let me hear it.
I'm gonna take FTG. They had a really gutsy win the other night. You know, their full team is finally here. We don't know if it's gonna be next week, I guess, but Ethan Austin's had a very underrated season, shooting the lights out, really just dictating that offense, and running up, only beating the squad by 3. I think FTG is a lot better than the squad. I know it was kind of a rough night for Run It Up, but it could go either way. But my pick is FTG.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with you there. I think it's just the teams are different this week. I know Squad beat FTG, but they didn't have their full team. And I think when FTG's at a full team, I think they're a top 4 team. So yeah, we'll move on from that game. It's kind of a split down the line. I mean, most of our picks have been split. That's why this week is crazy. And to top it off, I think matchup of this season here, A1 versus ASAP. You know, top guys in Massachusetts facing off against some of the top guys from Rhode Island. Uh, this matchup, Joey kind of wrote it perfectly. It just all roads led to this. The two top teams, last game of the season, two potential MVP guys going head to head, probably guarding each other in the game too. Yeah, this is also a battle for the 1 seed. Whoever wins this is the 1 seed too. So there's a lot on the line here. It's not just a one and done game for everyone, but it's battle for the 1 seed. Could be the difference between who's facing the squad or top dogs. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Jake, go to you. A1 ASAP. Give me your winner and give me why you think they're gonna pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the game. I'm hoping I'm on this court, but I'm going to have to take Team ASAP. And I think it just comes down to I trust Joe Secator and Noah James with the ball in their hands. I think they have great chemistry together, and I just think I've seen them play in some big games in the Rhode Island League, and I've seen how they deal with pressure, and I'm just going to have to bet on them.
All right, DJ, let me hear it.
Yeah, can't bet against Noah James here. Even if you got Hendel on him, probably Defensive Player of the Year, my pick at least. Even if he clamps up Noah James, you got 2 really dangerous guys behind him, so I'm going to take ASAP this week.
All right, Jack, who you got?
So I want to say ASAP, but I got to go A1. They're not going to lose 2 games in a row. They're going to be motivated. Hendel had a bad game last night out, rare bad game, and he's going up against the guy who's probably going to win the MVP over him. So he's going to be motivated to lock him up. A1 just not losing 2 games in a row.
And honestly, I'm picking A1. It'd be stupid of me to say anything else. But A1 all the way. I mean, we've been talking. We're ready. We're so ready. We're all so pumped for this game. Literally, we don't even care about last week. Like last week, who cares? We're just focused on this game, and then we're focused on to the playoffs and winning that championship because we all are so confident in it. It's the energy is crazy for our team. Um, I can't really reveal our game plan because I know some guys be listening on this podcast. So, but I just think ASAP hasn't played a team like A1 so far this season. I think a lot of them have been playing against each other in Rhode Island, so they've kind of been like on and off playing with each other. So I think coming off of B2A, dude, B2A is a very slow-paced team, and I don't think they hustle like A1 does. And they only beat B2A by 15. You also saw what we did to B2A a couple weeks ago, so that's all I'm saying. We doubled that score. So I think ASAP's going to get caught off guard too quick, and A1's going to pull this win off. It's not even an upset for me. So I'm sticking with my boys. I know what we're capable of, but yeah, that dictates who gets the 1 seed. So that's a very interesting game. FTG I think are locked into the 6th seed. Run-ups locked into the 3rd seed, and then depending how games go, Top Dog Squad are going to be fighting for that 7 and 8 seed. Um, Either way, it's going to be an A1 Top Dogs A1 squad or ASAP squad ASAP Top Dogs. And then Reapers B2A are going to, depending on how their games go, that will determine the 4 and the 5. So yeah, I'd love to play Top Dogs in the quarterfinals because 2 of my friends from my previous team weren't at our game that we played. So I'd love to face off with them in the first game of the playoffs. So yeah, insane week coming up. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are excited. I hope everyone listening is excited. Um, yeah, things are heating up. You know, shout out my boys DJ, Jake, Jack for joining me. Got to shout out 110 Grill, our sponsor. I'm your host, Cade. That wraps it up for this week. We'll see you next week. It's going to be intense. All right, peace.